Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So today we are going to learning about object-oriented programming, and in particular, we're going to be learning how to write classes. So a class is kind of like a higher order variable, which is going to have its own subvariables and member functions. So our motivational example is going to be the dog class. So let's start by creating an empty class, which is going to model a dog. We're going to write class dog. And to start off, we're just going to leave this blank. So we're going to write pass. So this doesn't do anything yet. But even with this completely empty class, we can create a variable. It's going to be a dog named Skippy. Skippy was my first dog. And we can check that the type of Skippy, she is a dog. Alrighty, so now let's make this a little bit less boring. So we're gonna try to build we need to think about what sort of member variables this class should have. And there's many things the dog could have. I'm gonna give the dog a age, a weight, and a breed. And okay, we want to be able to construct or initialize a dog with a specified age, weight, and breed. And the way you did this in C++ was with what's called a constructor and with an initializer list. The object in Python, which is completely analogous, is what's called an initializer method. So you type in def __ init __. The double __ means that this is a special pre-designed function called a magic method. And this means that whatever is called init is going to play the role of a constructor. This is how Python knows that it's your special function which constructs the class object. Okay, so now the variables we'd type in would be age, weight, and breed. And I'm missing one, which I'll specify later. We do colon. And now what we're going to say is, okay, we're going to want to make age equal to age, weight equal to weight, and breed equal to breed. But there is, in Python, the implicit parameter, which is the object itself, is made explicit. So the object itself is always included in an argument in all of these functions that we're going to write inside of the class. And then down here, you then write self.age is equal to age, self.weight is equal to weight, and self.breed is equal to breed. So now let's see if we can give Skippy some attributes. All right, so now we can write Skippy is equal to dog. She was 10. She weighed 120 pounds. And she was a golden retriever. All right, and we can then type in, and see, so now we got Skippy. So a couple things to note. There's no public and private variables. Everything is public, and you can just write off. You don't need to use an initializer list or anything complicated like that. You can just say self.age is equal to age, self.weight is equal to weight, and self.breed is equal to breed. And you can use these all right away. So now we can just type in, so we made Skippy. So we can type in skippy.breed, and it's going to print a golden retriever. And we can just type in skippy.weight and skippy.age. And it'll give us 120 and 10. So we have our initializer. We should also give the dog some more member functions. So let's copy and paste our dog from before and give it a member function. We got to think of what dogs would do. Well, dogs, we're typically going to want to bark. So let's make our doggy bark. Okay. So we're going to have dog bark, and this is going to take one parameter, which is self, and then another parameter, which is going to be the number of times the dog barks, which we're going to default set equal to 1. And the most boring way to write this function would just be to say for I in range n, print a barky noise, which we could go with rough. And so now let's make a new dog, which will be named Chappie. Chappie was my second dog. And so Chappie is going to be 8 years old, 80 pounds, and she was also a golden retriever. And then we can type in chappie.bark. And let's make Chappie bark 3 times. So then it prints out rough, rough, rough. On the other hand, since the default value was 1, if we had just typed in chappie.bark, it would only rough once. But let's make this bark problem a little bit more interesting. Let's make big doggies make a big noise and little doggies make a small noise. Okay. So let's say if self.weight is less than 50, print rough in a lowercase. Else if, let's say it's a medium-sized dog, self.weight is less than 100, then let's print a medium-sized bark noise. And last, if it's a big doggy, we should print rough in all caps. Okay. So Chappie is a medium-sized dog, so it made a medium-sized bark, but if we changed it so that Chappie was a big doggy, it's gonna make a very loud bark. So large doggy, bark 3 times, ruff, ruff, ruff. Sorry, I had a big cup of coffee before filming this video. Okay. And okay, so now on to class variables and instance variables. So far we've created some variables which are different for each single dog, the age and the weight and the breed. But we might also want some variables which are constant for all dogs. So species is equal to canine. And cute, this is a Boolean variable, which is equal to true. Alrighty. So now with this now we've got our refined dog class. Let's create a new dog called Troy. This is my current dog. Let's see, Troy. We got Troy in 2008. I'm filming this in 2020. So that means Troy is 12. So Troy is 12. He's been dieting a little bit, so now he's down to 73 pounds, and he's also a golden retriever. Okay. And we can do Troy.bark. Says rough. We can check what Troy's species is. Alrighty. And then we can use the fact that the member variable is equal to true to say if Troy.cute equal true, Troy.bark 3 times. And since Troy is cute, he gets to bark 3 times because he's a good doggy. So far we've done everything right. But we need to add documentation. Never write things without documentation. Okay, so we go inside of here, we go. Dog class is a class which models dogs. Each dog has an age, weight, and breed specified by user, and can bark. Alrighty. Here are our class variables. The names of the class variables are pretty self-explanatory, so we can just mark that these are the class variables. The initializers are usually self-explanatory, so they typically don't need their own docstring. But we should write a docstring for the bark function. So let's say, so we got the dog makes a bark noise. Rough. We should clarify that it's rough and not like woof woof or something like that. Larger dogs bark louder. Parameter n determines how many times the dog barks. Defaults to 1. And now given this, we can now look at the documentation. And so we do question mark dog, and we see a class which models dogs. Each dog has an age, weight, and breed specified the user and can bark. And we can look at dog.bark and learn about how the bark function works. The says the dog makes a bark noise, rough. Larger dogs bark louder, etc. Okay. And if we look at dog.init, even though we didn't write the docstring, there's actually one written for us. It says initialize self, which that's what the initializer does. So the last thing to note is that we can refer to these member functions a couple of different ways. So let's make Troy a dog. And so we can write Troy.bark. And Troy says rough. But we can also call this function in a slightly different way, which is to type in dog.bark Troy, comma 3. Or we could even just write in dog.bark Troy. Maybe this is a more apples to apples comparison. So these two things are completely implicit because remember, the object itself is the self parameter. So here we're doing the bark function, which is a member of the dog class, and we are using Troy as the self variable. And so this is where I'm going to stop. Go ahead and create your own dogs. You are allowed to make them breeds other than golden retrievers. However, golden retrievers are the best, so I recommend making them all golden retrievers. Just my opinion. I'll see you guys next.